Police serving a warrant discovered fake IDs, photos of Times Square, Washington's Union Station, and website information on flight schools. In the air today, two scares. Over Houston, an air marshal thought he spotted a passenger with a folding knife. It was a folding comb, but F-16 fighters were called to escort the flight back to the airport. An airliner leaving Memphis was diverted to Fort Smith, Arkansas, after four men described as Middle Eastern-looking raised suspicions. The FBI first thought a hijacking might be in progress, but it was another false alarm. Authorities say as long as the nation remains on high alert, no one is taking any chances with security. Martha Raddatz, ABC News, Washington.
The terrorists who attacked the country a year ago started everybody going by breaching airport security. And since then, security has become something of an obsession for millions of Americans. ABC's Lisa Stark, who covers aviation for us, is at Denver International Airport tonight. Lisa, this was a day in which, quite frankly, there weren't that many flights and there weren't that many travelers.
Absolutely, Peter. U.S. Airlines cut 3,200 flights today. And at the airports throughout the country, travelers were down anywhere from 30 to 70%. In Denver, for example, this morning during the morning rush, what was typically the morning rush, there were simply no lines, no one at curbside check-in. So things were going smoothly at the airports from that standpoint. People today were flying for a number of reasons. Some said they had to fly for family reasons or business, but a number said they were flying to simply be defiant. One man said, "We cannot be afraid of terrorists."
And from an airline point of view, everybody expect back to business as normal tomorrow in the aviation business?
To be honest with you, they expect it to be slow for the next few days. It may not get back to normal till next week.
Okay, thanks very much, Betsy Stark. Lisa Stark. Now we want to turn to Betsy Stark. Betsy Stark covers the economy for us, and of course Wall Street was deeply affected a year ago, and it took a while today for Wall Street to get going again. But ABC's Betsy Stark covers that for us. Betsy?
Well, Peter, many of the victims of 9/11 worked for financial companies that were located in the World Trade Center. So this was a day of grief and remembrance on Wall Street. Stock trading was beside the point. As one analyst put it to me today, our bodies were there, but our minds were elsewhere. The world's biggest stock market got underway 2.5 hours late today, and the first order of business was a moment of silence, led by a balcony full of dignitaries. Minutes later, a plaque commemorating those who perished was unveiled outside the New York Stock Exchange.
The top of the plaque, ladies and gentlemen, says it all. Let freedom ring. God bless you. God bless America.
Today was first and foremost a day of mourning on Wall Street. No industry suffered greater casualties than financial services, which makes its home around Ground Zero. The investment bank Sandler O'Neill lost 40% of its workers. Today, it honored those 66 employees in this full-page ad. They were one of several banks and brokerages to memorialize their dead. Bond trading giant Cantor Fitzgerald held a private service in Central Park for the 658 employees it lost last September 11th. Jennifer Gardner's husband was one of them.
It's like moving through a fog today. It's quite difficult. I didn't think it was going to be this hard. I woke up this morning and as soon as 8:46 hit, it was like a ton of bricks.
Well, as expected, trading was light today. The Dow lost 21 points. The Nasdaq fell about 5 points. But the market pundits had little to say about it. Peter, as one observed, this was not a day for economic analysis.
Thanks very much, Betsy Stark, and Lisa Stark in order. As we heard a few moments ago, a freighter registered to a company in Hong Kong was turned away from the port of Elizabeth, New Jersey this morning. Coast Guard inspectors detected a low level of radiation on board. This resonated with us tremendously because ABC's Brian Ross has just spent a long, very intense period of time investigating, good evening, Brian, whether U.S. officials can keep this kind of material out of the country, and you discovered they cannot.
That's right, Peter. We began our investigation by going through court files and seized documents to see how al-Qaeda terrorists had planned to smuggle dangerous radioactive material into the country. Then we followed the same path, using a legal, harmless version of the material to see if authorities could detect it or stop it. Our secret journey started by rail in Austria on the 4th of July. On a rack in the cabin, this suitcase, holding 15 pounds of depleted uranium, which we had picked up at a scientific institute in Salzburg. The material, inside a steel pipe lined with lead, is not the dangerous, highly enriched uranium used in nuclear weapons. But scientific experts say it would give much the same signature to detection scanners now in use.
A perfect mock-up. It replicates everything but the capability to explode.
But across 5 European countries, there was no inspection of the suitcase. All the way to Turkey, to Istanbul, considered the crossroads of the world's nuclear black market.
This is what they're looking for, or should be looking for, and this is what they absolutely have to stop.
And then, with surprising ease, we were able to pack our material inside an ornamental chest, crate it, and then place it in a shipping container alongside a cargo of vases and Turkish horse carts.
If it were a real weapon, that you had managed to get out of the Soviet inventory, some would fit in this container.
At 2 in the morning on July 29th, the container arrived at the port of New York on board the cargo ship Singapore Bay. At this point, not a single government official had checked to see what was inside the container.
A weapon could be armed and ready to fire.
So the ship could be the delivery device.
Well, the ship, I think, is one of the most dangerous delivery devices.
Our ship tied up at the Staten Island dock in New York, where U.S. Customs says it has a state-of-the-art system in place to detect even a small, low-level amount of radioactive material.
If we calculate what is in that container by those screenings, we're going to get into the container and find out for ourselves.
Yet our container left the port without ever being opened by U.S. Customs. It had been targeted for special screening because it came from Istanbul, but still it sailed right through. And a few days after its arrival in the United States, from a place known for its connection to the nuclear black market, the container was on the back of a truck headed for New York City.
We ran it for radiation detection, and we also did a large-scale X-ray.
U.S. Customs Commissioner Robert Bonner said his inspectors correctly singled out the container and would have found anything truly dangerous.
Nothing appeared that would indicate that there was a potential for a nuclear device to be in the container. Or
a large piece of metal in the shipment of Turkish horse carts didn't stand out?
Look, I'm not going to get into it. We have the X-ray pictures.
Could we see those pictures?
Yes, I have.
Could we see them?
I don't think I'm going to share them with you.
So we took our own X-ray pictures with a machine much less sophisticated than that of U.S. Customs. And this is what our suitcase looked like a pipe bomb was inside.
If you didn't detect this, you wouldn't have detected the real thing. He missed it, and he's covering up.
As a final step, the container was trucked to a warehouse at the foot of the Brooklyn Bridge, across the river from Lower Manhattan.
If that were a weapon and you blew it up, you would have very, very substantial consequences, yeah.
Of course, the material we moved was not dangerous and entirely legal to transport. And even the Customs Commissioner acknowledges our project helps to point out it's just far too easy, Peter, to put something on a ship and send it to this country.
Chilling project. Many thanks, Brian Ross. There were, and we just don't have a lot of time for them this evening, commemorations all over the world today. People in so many countries wanted to participate in this day with the United States, but we have a couple of glimpses. Here is a beach in Australia where hundreds of people commemorated this day. Yes, I thought we'd get a glimpse of it by making a flag out of people who were there. There were 2 powerful beams of light projected into the sky in Paris, reminiscent of what they did here at Ground Zero some months ago, a symbol of the trade towers. And in Venice, in Italy, the city's gondoliers observed a moment of silence, and on so many of the gondolas today, you could see large, billowing, in most cases, American flags. In a minute, we are going to begin our ABC News special coverage for the evening of 9/11. We've been on since early morning, as you know. We want to end this particular portion of the day with something called the rolling Requiem. Last year, some members of the Seattle Symphony began to explore an idea. What if, on this September the 11th, singers in many parts of the world could join together in singing an extraordinary piece of music, which is Mozart's Requiem, which he wrote in memory of a nobleman's wife to be performed on during her funeral. He died while composing it. It would start, this Requiem, at the bottom of the world with the first dawn of the day. People would sing it in every time zone for 24 hours. The response to the idea was absolutely huge. It began in Auckland, New Zealand.
This woman is in hiding because of what she says she knows about Saddam Hussein. Thursday, paranoia, plots, torture, and George Bush. Saddam's secrets. She says she knows them because she was his secret mistress. A primetime world exclusive. Thursday.